we're targeting St. George, the Southern Utah area. It's called st.GZ.
Okay.
The point of this is it's a coupon app similar to what you've already seen, like with Dixie Direct. I think it's called Dixie Direct.
Starving student cards. Stuff like that.
However, we're not charging businesses.
Okay.
This is one of the few models that you can still remain profitable and maintain or grow the company without having to charge businesses, which is very rare.
From the Blue Form Media Studios, this is the 435 Podcast, the pulse of Southern Utah.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the 435 Podcast. Today, I have Blake Kvarfordt with me. He's the Blake from Blake Technologies, a local tech entrepreneur here in Southern Utah. And we talk about a lot of different things, his history with T-Mobile, with Nike, and his latest edition of his app that's a local-based app. It's STGZ, ST-GZ on the Apple iTunes App Store. You'll want to download it. It's going to have coupons and promoting local businesses here in town. But we're on the hunt for unique ways people are making money in Southern Utah. We want to focus on the small businesses, and Blake has a great story. We hope you enjoy this episode. We'll see you out there. You know, this might sound crazy, but I hate real estate agents. And after being one myself for the last 10 years, I know the good ones from the bad ones. If you're thinking about buying, selling, or investing in real estate here in Southern Utah, we want you to interview us for the job. Go to realestate435.com and give us a call. We promise you're going to love us. Blake, what's your last name?
It's Kvarfordt.
Kvarfordt.
Yeah.
Kvarfordt. Is that German?
Swedish. Yeah, if you look at the spelling, there's a V and a T in there.
Okay.
But yeah, it's pronounced Kvarfordt.
Kvarfordt. And where are you from?
I grew up in Las Vegas and then moved here actually just before high school. Okay. And so I went to high school at Desert Hills in St. George here. And then after college, I went to college at Utah Valley University and dropped out when I discovered my passion for software. Yeah. And then, started my career there. So
that didn't start in high school. That you went to Utah Valley and started doing classes and...
Yeah, I was actually studying business, and then part of the major was just one computer science class, which was like building websites. Yeah, and I really liked that. I ended up building we were supposed to build one website, and I built like 5. I built one for my dad's medical practice, and then other just little business websites that I wanted to build to learn it. And like after that class, we just kept going to classes. Like business, and I hated it. Yeah. And so one day my wife was just like, stop complaining, like go do what you liked. That one class, like just go do that. And then, I ended up so when I decided I want to do like technology, realized that the colleges don't really teach the latest and greatest stuff. So
the iteration of it is just so quick, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So did you go work for somebody first?
Yeah. So I went to Dev Mountain. Okay. Up in northern Utah. That's kind of where I went. It was like a 3-month boot camp. And then from there, I my first job was a senior level engineering position at T-Mobile. Okay. Where we worked on a lot of really cool stuff. So I was in charge of a project where we rebuilt the payments infrastructure for all of the retail stores in the country.
Crazy.
Yeah, it was really crazy. And
I worked for Verizon for 10 months. My wife got pregnant, and as soon as we found out she was pregnant, I was like, I got to go get a job because I was studying to get my real estate license. And I was like, I need health insurance. So I went and worked for Verizon. The day that she had my son, I was like, this is my 2 weeks notice. And I quit. And they didn't think I was going to actually quit. But the system, that was probably the most frustrating thing working at Verizon is everybody's got these tablets and you're having to restart them over and over. And there's 50 different ways of how, getting into it. It was so confusing and so difficult. I was like, how is a company like Verizon horrible at this part of it? So I can imagine T-Mobile had to go through some upgrades.
Yeah, same deal. They don't, it's not really a technology company. Yeah. So the apps that they have on the iPads for all the workers, not necessarily the best. And same with the payments, the security and the payments and stuff. So we really helped. We rebuilt that, launched it. So far, I haven't heard any problems with what we built over the past few years. So,
which is always nerve-wracking for an application, especially when it's rolled out. Is those bugs? You don't know the bugs until you're going at scale.
Yeah, exactly. So that seems to be going really well. But
when was that?
That was 2021. So it was only 3-4 years ago.
Yeah.
When I left.
Uh-huh.
That was a little over 4 years ago, actually. But yeah, that since from T-Mobile, when I left T-Mobile, I went to work for Nike as a contractor in their innovation department, and that's kind of where this kind of kicked off this whole like entrepreneurial spirit back in me, because I grew up and I was always doing businesses in my youth, and so that kind of in their innovation department, our job, like my team was in charge of like we would build a new business every 6 months, like a new tech product.
Oh, cool.
And then if it worked out, like if it tested well with the the few 100,000 users, then it would be incorporated into the Nike ecosystem. Like
this sounds so ridiculous. Have you ever seen Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs?
Yes.
You know how he like goes and works for like the pseudo Apple, and he has to like come up with as many ideas as he can just to get his gold jacket. I just think of that as like, this is literally how corporate America runs their tech stuff.
Totally. And it's exactly how it works. And there's many teams doing the same thing all the time. And it's been really cool. Like great experience, because I get to work like, on a big scalable team, and kind of learn how to build a business also. And so that's like really the benefit to working in a position like that.
So on those teams, were they giving you like parameters of like what types of things that you could do? Or was it kind of this, you come up with a good idea and you run with it and present it? Or like, especially for Nike, I'm trying to think.
Yeah. They have an entire vetting process before it even comes across like our team. They've vetted out the idea with focus groups and all sorts of different process to get to that point. They come to us with what needs to be built, and then we decide what technologies go into it and which ones are the best. So a large part of our job is just R&D, researching what's out there, what's new. And if it's new and works for our project, we will determine whether or not it's viable enough for...
Did you ever get one where you're like, this is a stupid idea?
No.
Really?
No, they're all really cool ideas.
Yeah? What was it? Yeah. What was one of the cooler ones?
I would say... I can't really give exact details.
I think like you
what
can.
It was. But I can tell you. I can tell you what we used, and you can use your imagination. So, like augmented reality. Nike's a clothing company and mainly shoes. So, we're working on a few, and who knows if they're still in development in certain stages.
Probably, yeah.
I would say so. But being able to like see shoes without being in the store.
Yeah.
Being able to like try on shoes.
Yeah, see, I think
cool technology.
I think that's it's a cool technology, but then it's applying it to say, is there a return? Like having somebody do this, is that going to lead them to a sale? Right? It's like crossing over the chasm of like, is this actually going to increase the number of our sales to be able to have augmented reality? And then you're relying on the consumer to have the technology to be able to actually see it in virtual reality, right? They got to have the goggles, or they got to have some type of way of viewing it. Yeah,
or with your phone, whatever technology seems is like the best, is that vetting process that we go to before, or we go through that before we write code.
Yeah.
And they don't give us anything to build unless it has a minimum of $1 billion like
revenue option, or like it's going to make them money, right? There's going to be revenue coming in from this idea.
Yeah.
Wow. So, $1 billion. Holy cow.
Yeah. And so, I mean, a team of 10. Yeah. So every single project that a team of 10 people is responsible for building has that potential on paper.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So then you did that for just a couple of years?
Yeah. I mean, I still do consulting for them.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah,
that's why you can't say anything. Okay. That makes sense. That makes more sense.
Yeah. So
that's pretty cool. I was, one of the ideas, I'm sure somebody's working on it and they're probably way far down the road. That's why I'm not doing it. But, buying new homes, cause I'm a real estate agent. Okay. So it's like you go in, you want to build a house. You could put it on a piece of paper all day long, but the difference between I want a hallway that's 12 feet wide versus a 10-foot wide, or, like how big is that hallway? Or, you can kind of spatially understand, okay, this is probably like a 10 by 10 room. But when you go to like the difference between a 12-foot room that's 12 by 9 versus a fully different floor plan where, the feet is a little bit different. When you walk into the room, how it feels is such a big chasm that people have to jump through. And I was like, virtual reality could really change the way home builders build houses and then architects when they design them. So that was one of the ideas. I was like, somebody's got to come up with that one pretty quick.
Yeah. Well, a big reason why I'd say like things like that will probably come about more often is because of AI. Like the amount of data that is available in our lives that is not being collected is astounding. The amount of data that is currently being collected by companies and like researched and things is astounding, but there's still a huge gap.
Yeah. It's sifting through it and then being able to, how do you use it?
Yeah. And that's what AI is going to really help with. And that ultimately will determine what products to build next or how to make, current products better. And I think over the next 10 years, we're going to see some pretty wild steps in technology.
So you're using LLMs and AI at some capacity, I'm sure already, right?
Yeah,
so
every day.
So 2020, I think it was like March 2020, maybe 2021 was it, when OpenAI open source let out their platform for everybody to play with, right? It was 21, 22.
Yeah. I don't know for sure. But ChatGPT,
ChatGPT came out, and then we've had just so many different models come out. Which ones do you use as somebody that's working on application software? What are you using? Because everybody uses, a couple of different versions of a couple of different things, but I'm curious, like, what's your tech stack?
My day-to-day is I'll use ChatGPT for like day-to-day problem solving.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, that's pretty much all I use.
Mm-hmm.
There's other ones out there that integrate with, like code. There's some
code-based stuff.
There's some that are known for helping out developers. But in my opinion, like if you go any further than what ChatGPT is giving you, then you're probably relying on it too much. Yeah. In my opinion, just because there's too many problems that you need to actually solve out in a chat. These AIs just simply don't know how to architect very well. Is what I'm trying to get to here. Like they don't think about scalability when you're giving in these prompts. They can't really take into these complex factors of like our human element and what the end user is going to experience when we're working with it. So really, I try to keep my human
code,
my human self as part of the project, so that way it ends up the end user can experience.
So you're not necessarily using any AI coding like supplement to write code in any way?
No, I do. For coding problems, like individual problems, if I need to write a solution for whatever thing, honestly, I can refer to ChatGPT, see what it comes out with, determine, and then make a determination of what I can take from it or use in
modify
it. Yeah. But as far as like creating experiences for the user, I can often put in prompts and get ideas or whatever, but it never really quite gets the whole, how do you feel when you interact with this product? Yeah. So I think it's still got a long ways to go to get to where it can like create experiences that we interpret as human to human experiences.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So, working at Nike, still consulting for them a little bit. And then now, so have you always kind of stayed local? You've always kind of worked remote?
Yeah. Ever since COVID. Yeah. I was at headquarters for T-Mobile, but, remote since then.
Yeah. That's one of the things I think is so fascinating about Southern Utah is that we have an economy that's so much more diverse now than it was even 5 years ago because of this remote work environment.
Yeah.
And even though a lot of it's getting pulled back, there's still a massive portion of the market to where it just makes more sense, especially for technology and coding and things like that.
Yeah, for sure. However, now that I've got like Blake Technologies, I have an office, and I've found that that's very, very useful when you're either starting businesses or your business is just small.
In what way?
And just being able to lean over your shoulder and like interact with another person rather than, scheduling a call. Because oftentimes when we're working on these startup projects, it moves fast. And what comes into my mind right now is not going to be there in an hour.
Yeah.
Or not even in the same way.
Yeah. And
so being able to like interact, it's fast. We use Slack on our remote teams. It's pretty, it's efficient, but it's not as cool as you can't really get the same effect, I guess you can say, like in a that you can in an office.
Mm-hmm.
And plus, if you have, maybe lesser, but less experienced engineers, it really helps them to be able to interact and see how maybe a senior engineer does their work or thinks through a process. Because I'm not going to be on a call when I'm on my whiteboard in my office at home,
right?
Solving a problem.
And then you've done it, and then you can just poke your head in and be like, "Here, come check this out.
Right.
Watch as I go through this."
Yes,
it's not like you go through it and then you're like, "Let's have a call later, and then we'll review what I just went over."
Exactly, that doesn't happen.
So, it doesn't.
For the senior teams, be remote. I don't care, because everybody kind of I can look at another engineer's code and kind of see into their mind a little bit. But that's a skill I think that you develop over time.
Yeah.
More than just something that you have going into it.
So Nike can do it, but the smaller startup businesses, there's probably going to be some challenges with being just fully remote. But team sizes have gotten a lot smaller too.
Yeah, if there's less experienced engineers on a team. I think that, you can get any ragtag team of experienced people, and they all live in different states, and you can make something beautiful. Yeah. Totally. Because you don't need as much communication. It's almost like those, it's a crazy analogy, but like those Navy SEALs that they train in silence, because they're all so trained in what they do already individually, that when they get together, they don't really have to communicate in order to get the job done. Yeah. Whereas that makes new people, new people kind of you have to speak out loud, and
there's a lot of learning that goes along that needs that interaction. What do you think about like just the social interaction? Do you feel like as an engineer, I was listening to, I mentioned it before on the podcast, I was listening to Lex Friedman. I don't know if you know Lex Friedman. He was interviewing this engineer that did 60 startups. He did 60 startups in 60 days.
Okay.
And he was just programming websites and like coming up with ideas and just pushing himself to like, how many different businesses can I get people to subscribe for? Like, even if it's $1, right? And he's ended up making millions of dollars off, catching a couple that have just really done well and been able to scale out. But what he was finding, which he caught on to right around the time Kiln started building out their business model for basically this community workspace environment, to where an engineer, it's one thing to just want to be a keyboard warrior and just, get in and do the engineering stuff on your own, even if you're an expert, but it's the social interaction that you come into. You just got your office over at Kiln. Is there that community feel there? Is there some value to that?
Absolutely. Yeah. I got to give myself some credit, because I feel like I've been the one that going out and to everybody's desks and like introducing myself and seeing what they're up to. Yeah. But already I can see that there's lots of value. Yeah. Even in fields like people that are working just simply remotely or something for their company, I've had conversations already in the first few weeks with people that has helped me with the way I think about my end users for my products. Yeah. Because I just don't know, how people think until I interact with them. That's quite simple. That's a simple reality. But my nature is I'm very introverted. I don't like to talk to people. It drains my energy. But it's
so you decided to come on a podcast and just suck all your energy right out.
This is what you do. This is how you overcome these kind of challenges and get better at it. Yeah. Because I think, who knows if one day I'll be able to, do podcasts and it not drain my energy. But it's absolutely necessary to understand how life is.
Yeah. Everybody's experiences are going to be differently, totally. And so you have this bell curve of it, and you want to hit the margins as much as you can to try to capture the biggest user base. So what product, Blake Technologies, you said, what kinds of projects are you working on right now? Is it multiple applications?
I've had a bunch of stuff, but right now I've got a startup that's based out of, we're targeting St. George, the Southern Utah area. It's called st.GZ. Okay. And the point of this is it's a coupon app, similar to what you've already seen, like with Dixie Direct. I think it's called Dixie Direct.
Starving student cards, stuff like
that. However, we're not charging businesses. Okay. This is one of the few models that you can still remain profitable and maintain or grow the company without having to charge businesses, which is very rare. Yeah. There's rare cases where in a marketing platform, you don't have to charge for marketing.
Yeah.
And this is one of those cases because you're providing enough value to the user where they're willing to pay a little bit to get more value out of it.
Mm-hmm.
But businesses, and this is kind of a problem with a lot of marketing platforms, is they're so expensive to do marketing that smaller businesses can't really compete with these like chain restaurants or larger franchise companies.
Yeah.
And so, as far as the numbers go, on paper it's gonna work out. We'll find out how it goes. But as of right now, you can go on the App Store on your phone and search for st.geez and download it. And
is it STGZ?
Yep, ST_GZ.
I'm gonna look it up right now as we're chatting about it. So, as far as like getting the businesses to it, is it basically just like you apply to have your business on there? Do you have like a cap as the number of businesses?
Where it's different from like Dixie Direct or Starving Student Card is the business just creates their profile all inside the app. So everybody that downloads the app can see a button in their profile screen that's like, hey, if you have a business, promote it here for free. And if you have a business, then go ahead and do that. You create your profile in there. You manage your profile in there. You manage the offers that you have. It's all on you as the business owner. At the beginning, when you first create your profile, we do a verification process, but that's it. You get to determine like all the deals that you want to put on there on your own time.
Got it.
And that's really cool because that makes it scalable.
Yeah.
And I think that's a huge problem that these other companies probably haven't quite figured out is, once you have a certain number of businesses on there, it's very hard to manage these relationships like person to person.
Yeah.
They don't have technology that's like doing this for them.
Right.
And so I think that's where we're going to hopefully be able to scale much faster. And the fact that we're not charging businesses like they do, then
the user pays. So yeah, what's the
eventually? I mean, we just got started, so it's free for everybody until we figure out what this thing is. But the businesses will never pay to have their profiles on the app. Eventually, there might be services like analytics and like data-driven softwares that they can subscribe to, perhaps to help out their business.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
But to have to do the marketing, that's going to be free for businesses always.
Interesting.
And once there's enough users and there's enough value on there, then we'll determine what users can pay.
So the user, let's say the user, the idea would be the user pays like, $10 a year or something like that, and they get the coupons that come up, or is that the subscription model? It'd be something like that.
Yeah, something like some sort of subscription, and then businesses, like I said, they determine which offers are available which day. So, like for example, today's Valentine's Day. Yeah. Businesses would put on maybe a week before Valentine's Day, they can put on their offers for Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
There's no,
it's like on Veterans Day, it's like there's certain businesses that'll like free food for veterans. You know what I mean? How do you go find that? Like where do you go to know what restaurants are giving, veterans free meals on Veterans Day and things like that?
Yeah, and they don't need my permission. They don't have to come to me and say, hey, can I put this deal on your app? They just do it. They're already approved. Put the deals on there, and I just tell businesses like put deals on there, put good ones on there. Yeah, I'm not charging you for this reason. So give some value to the users.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool, man. So aside from that, what other kind of business ideas or what else are you working on?
Ever since the Vision Pro came out, I've been dabbling a lot with this VR stuff.
Yeah,
I've built a couple of games. One of which you can download.
Cool.
It's called Obstacle Avoidance.
Nice.
You just try to dodge all these cubes that come at you.
Yeah.
And it's kind of fun. But I work with augmented reality as a big thing. I truly believe that that's going to be a huge part of our lives in the next 10, 20 years once these headsets kind of get smaller and, lighter.
Yeah.
So people are more willing to use them out in public.
Yeah.
But
adoption just gets a little bit more ubiquitous.
Yeah. I don't think Apple, I think these big companies kind of came out pretty early with these products, but it's with a purpose. I think we're all
testing
just kind
stuff
of we're getting used to it, and eventually they'll get to a point where it's just a huge adoption.
I mean, Meta's glasses are pretty incredible already as they are.
Yeah. A great example. Yeah. I think the capabilities with these things are going to be outrageous. They're going to be crazy.
Yeah. So trying to get on the cutting edge of that kind of augmented reality stuff.
Yes, absolutely. Because whatever engineers or teams out there that are doing this now, they will be the you name your price type people. Yeah. So I encourage everybody that works for me or with me to like do this stuff on the side, even though maybe our business projects are not involving that right now. Do it because it's going to benefit us on like my company. If you guys are still working for me, at very minimum, it'll benefit you in your career. So
yeah,
because for sure, augmented reality will be pretty crazy.
What do you see is gaming going to be kind of it seems like the obvious headwater is going towards like gaming, but what do you think real world applications? Like, do you see like certain segments of the businesses that would benefit the most, maybe that, people don't really think about?
Oh, for sure. I mean, marketing in general will be pretty crazy because you'll be able to, if you have your glasses on while you're in your car, you'll be able to see going into a city. Like if you're driving down the hill to go into Vegas, you'll see these floating, logos or whatever for the businesses. You'll be able to experience things like imagine driving down the strip in Vegas and you'll be able to like play a game in augmented reality.
Yeah.
Like doing a tour of Vegas.
Yeah. Yeah.
You'll be able to, just like kind of get almost like how on the App Store, when you see a preview of the app that you're about to download, you'll be able to like experience previews of experiences in life.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Which is pretty wild. Yeah. If you think about that. And then, once, these headsets are going to interact with our things. So like you could, I don't know. I mean, use your imagination, right? Like whatever you can think of, it's actually going to be possible. Pretty much anything is already possible, but now it's getting to the point where anything's possible.
Yeah. One of the things I was thinking about was like the food and stuff that we eat. Yeah. My son has type 1 diabetes.
Okay.
And so I look at nutrition facts every time. Like you just can't help but do it, right? Because that's what you're looking at all the time. But being able to like understand and analyze, what is this based on this can, right? It's like the serving size is 355 milliliters. It's percent of daily value has it on there, and then milligrams per serving size. But you get a loaf of bread, and my wife, we're always doing like calculations and stuff like that. And so I can't help but think like there's just going to be these like daily tasks that can really help aid in the way that we function, on our day-to-day life, on how it can add to it.
And it's gonna start with our kids. Like the education in general is about to see a huge leap in how it's done.
Yeah.
Like I often think about in Star Trek with like Spock's world, and there's a scene in there where there's a bunch of kids in school and their own little cubicles, and it's just a giant screen around them. And that's how they're learning. And AI is just teaching them everything about the world, and they're super smart.
Yeah,
that's pretty much how I imagine it's going in that way already, where kids are kind of. I mean, it's not good to be on the screen all day, but if you're going to be on the screen all day, if you're learning something that's
I think it's a balance too between the screen and real life, right? I think that virtual reality is a bridge between that. That screen and what's going on in real life, right? It's this integration of the two things.
And school will start to be 1 hour a day, 2 hours a day.
Yeah.
Because you'll just
let's be honest, they probably only do 1 or 2 hours of actual work in their classes anyway.
Well, that's how people work anyway in the
real world.
Yeah,
exactly. That's pretty interesting. So virtual reality is something that you're looking at. You have this st.GZ app that's local. And then you're doing the side stuff for Nike.
Yeah, I've got a few. I mean, I've got a few apps on the App Store that I just haven't put my funding behind yet. But yeah, st.GZ is kind of my focus right now, just because that's I find it to be scalable. It's already proven. These other companies are doing the same thing. I'm just making it better. I have the better software, better experience. Companies don't have to pay.
Have you heard of that company? While you were here?
Yes.
I thought that was a pretty interesting idea.
Yeah.
Trying to attract, the tourism, element to it is like, while you are here, don't forget about these different things. Like, I think
eventually we'll have these, geofence functionality where like if you're, let's say you're in northern Utah and you're coming down here to visit, and if you have the app already, then you'll get like these notifications for like, personalized notifications from our AI that tells you like, here's what you've experienced last time, and here's this new thing that you should experience.
Yeah, that's another thing too. To the adaptability of this is really nimble, right? Because you get the Dixie Direct, and then you have this book, and you're like, okay, well, what are the deals? And I get to the book, and I'm looking through the book. You can download the app. They do have an app, but it's the agileness of being able to have it at your fingertips and have notifications. You're getting into Washington County, and like, hey, these things are going on. I can't help but think, integrating just the business coupons with events. I was thinking about this as I was driving down here. I was like, why is there so much traffic? Everybody knows why there's all the traffic, right? With the parade of homes, but there's also a massive soccer tournament. There's baseball tournaments. Like every place I see, kids in baseball gear, right? And so it's, what are the events going on in town that I might want to take advantage of, right? Because there's just this gap and silo. We used to have a newspaper that said, hey, here's all the events. Yeah. You could easily go and look at it, and there's not really a single place to go find it. Even Facebook, you'd have to scour 50 different groups on Facebook just to find all the different events that are going on in town. And so having like a one-stop place to say, this event's going on, and here are the businesses that are participating in that event.
And here's a deal.
And here's a deal. And here's a deal. Yeah, exactly.
Totally. That's on our list of to-dos.
Sweet.
Doing this whole events thing. So we'll be working with local influencers here in town, as well as different, because there are Facebook groups and pages where somebody's like posting these events. But we're going to be working with these people and integrating with these platforms to be able to make it easy to show all that on our app.
If you're looking for a nice cup of coffee and you're in downtown St. George, FS Coffee Co. That's where you're going to want to stop. It's right there on the corner of Tabernacle and Main Street in downtown St. George. So if you got a bicycle, ride it on down there and grab a drip coffee and tell them the 435 guys sent you. Is it easy to scrub, like, if I was to design a software, is it easy to scrub like Facebook, for an example? Is like, I want to find all the posts about events on Facebook. Is there a way to like have like a crawler that goes through it and like scrubs like what's getting posted? Or is there like blocks to that with Facebook?
Well, it can be done. Yes, it can be done.
Yeah.
For sure. Just as far as how complex that is, I don't know. I'd have to do some research, but it can totally be done. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I was thinking we were talking about like all the data. There's so much data already getting collected that isn't getting utilized, and then there's all this data that isn't even getting collected.
Exactly.
Those are,
and I would put that in the data that's not collected, because I think within a town or a region like the Southern Utah area, just having the data on what people are spending money on, where they are at during a certain time of the day. How much time they're looking at a specific event. Like you can determine a lot of data for a person just based off of what they're looking at on the screen,
Yeah.
And it's pretty incredible. And that's the kind of data that we're hoping to like be able to utilize to just better the experience of people that are coming into Southern Utah. But this is not even in Southern Utah. I don't really view this as a Southern Utah based and only exists in Southern Utah company.
Yeah. It can be replicated everywhere.
Yeah. We'll scale out to the whole country, to the whole world.
Yeah.
Whatever, because that's the way we've designed the software, and that's the whole point of it.
Yeah.
Because I personally, I don't like to see companies like Groupon charging so much to these businesses just to be able to put, give a discount to people that want.
I didn't even know, does Groupon even, I haven't even like heard about Groupon lately. I don't even know how they're doing.
Yeah, because there's not very many businesses that can afford to use it.
Yeah.
Because
it used to be great because it seemed like you got great deals, but
it
doesn't seem like they're as good of deals as they used to be.
Yeah, they just charge so much. I think that if a company gives a 10% discount on something, the remaining 90%, Groupon charges 50% of that.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So these businesses are maybe breaking even, if not losing a little bit of money on every single time we purchase a Groupon.
Yeah.
So it's pretty wild.
Yeah. They just see that the cost of marketing is like, you have a budget for this, and I want to take every penny of that budget if I can take it.
So their model is the business pays every cent of the every cent of the deal. We just get the discount and that's about it.
Yeah.
Dixie Direct and
they take from both.
They take from both.
Yeah,
which is crazy to me.
And it's crazy.
It makes. I mean, if you're,
it's a win-win. If it's a win-win, people are willing to do it.
Yeah, it's just if you look on those platforms, it's only these big companies that are on there. It's like the McDonald's and So we're gonna try and solve for that. We'll turn it into a game. For businesses. Yeah, it's gonna be free for you, but you're gonna have to rank.
Ooh, that's a cool idea.
You're gonna have to provide good deals, lots of deals, and the users need to be using your deals.
Yeah.
In order for you to rank higher on the list in the app.
Yeah, like almost have like a user ranking for if the user gives, let's say they give them kind of like what Facebook does with like tokens. Like it's almost like you promote them. That kind of factors into the algorithm, as to how it places and
exactly. Facebook, like Meta, does that to us. Because we are the value to these businesses, right?
Right.
So their algorithm is applied to us. We're going to do that back to businesses.
Yeah, that makes sense.
We're going to give the best thing to the user.
That's unique.
Yeah,
I like that. That's pretty interesting. That's a great idea. How'd you come up with that? Just laying in bed one day.
Lots of thinking. I've been thinking about this for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
that's pretty interesting.
It's one thing to build it, though. To build it,
I got ideas. I got a ton of ideas. I can have ideas all day long, but it's actually like when you go put the work in to actually do it, that's where the rubber meets the road.
Yeah. So like all of my experiences, it's been kind of sort of part of a plan. I've been really paying attention at these experiences at these larger companies and learning exactly what I wanted to learn to be able to pull stuff like this off.
Yeah.
And we're going to make it happen.
We man. Yeah. Well, I think you're going to do it. I know you're going to do it.
Yeah, we're totally going to
You're going to crush it.
Yeah.
What else should we talk about, man? Like,
we could talk about real estate. I do a little bit of real estate, not a ton.
Oh, yeah?
But, we've got some property in Vegas and outside of Vegas there. We've got some land.
Nice.
We've got some land right beneath the old gold mine.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, who knows? Maybe one day.
Who knows?
We've got about 10 acres out there. Who knows?
They'll kick that mine back up.
Right.
Something.
Yeah. Then it's like, all right, well, I'll lease the land to you, for.
How'd you start getting into that?
Just,
looking for opportunities?
Yeah. Honestly, it's just, find myself with some extra cash and I try to figure out what's going to either be of value to me in the future or buy something that I can leverage now perhaps into some other better deal.
Yeah. It's a long game. Real estate's always a long game.
Yeah. Yeah. Or I just, like early on in my marriage with my wife, we were just like, let's try and find a place that we can buy, fix up, live in. And then when we move again, we'll just rent it out.
Yeah.
So we were doing that until we had our third kid.
Yeah.
And at that point, it's just like, let's settle down in St. George. And
it can be exhausting, man.
Right.
The buy, rehab, refinance, and rent, right? The Burr method.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. The what is that? Pockets.
Oh,
bigger pockets.
Bigger pockets. Yeah. They kind of they sensationalized it, but that method's been going on a long time.
Right. And it just makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
It's an efficient way to get it done. And
those guys have some weird obsession about mobile homes. I don't know. Yeah. I don't understand it. They have like this
mobile home parks.
And then they pump it like it's like this amazing, it prints money. And I'm like, this is not what everybody thinks it is. It is so there are opportunities in every business. There's opportunities, but buying a mobile home park and becoming a slum lord is not what we need more of. Let's get that straight.
Yeah, and it seems like they did that based off some sort of federal regulation thing where there's not very many of them, so they're going to buy them all up.
Yeah, because cities don't zone for that anymore. I mean, they'll let, like in Washington County, there's no option. You can't have a mobile home. I mean, you could barely get an RV park these days. Now we've seen a lot of RV parks pop up in Washington County, especially since 2020. But we've gotten to a high water mark where it's like the profitability doesn't even make sense, but it's a transient specific type of business model. There's no expectation that somebody's going to park there and live there full time and rent out the land underneath them. And anybody who's doing that is burning up money.
Yeah. What I've been looking into is this kind of newer concept that's like tiny homes that are built with traditional construction.
Yeah.
I like that idea.
Have you heard of box house?
Yes, I have.
We had the CEO, Jeremy Johnson. He was the one founder and came up with the idea. We had him on the podcast talking about what he's done. And it's a great idea. There's a lot of hurdles, though, that come along with it because cities, zoning, the rules around it, what the neighbors think of that, right? As soon as you say manufactured home, right? Because the difference between mobile and manufactured is one's got a tongue and comes in on wheels, and the other comes in in pieces on a truck, Yeah.
Well, what I'm talking about is one, they're building it. They're building it on site. Yeah. And it's not, it's
but they're prefabbed.
It's appraised as a home though.
Yeah, but they're prefabbed in some kind of way, right? And then they're put on a slab. But yeah, the smaller homes.
Yeah, as long as in my mind, as long as it's appraised as a home,
as a single family home, then
which is so
business, you know where that comes from? That comes from lending laws from the 40s. Okay. I'm not even kidding you.
That's wild.
They came up with these lending laws in the 40s, and specifically, they were completely racist. Truthfully, these were like completely racist laws starting back down into the South. Is that they made it basically impossible for you if you didn't have these specific rules. They set up these criteria for the standard building, code, and they copied and pasted this code across the entire country because the individual cities could just develop their own code for building codes. Wow. But the lenders wrote the rules, the banks wrote the rules, and then the cities just adopted this like blanket zoning across the country for what their building requirements would be. And they set it to this bar to where if you wanted to do a manufactured home, you basically couldn't do it. Or if you did do it, you had to meet all of these criteria. And then for a bank to lend on that, you had to have this certain credit score and you had to have all these different line items. Wow. But we've just carried that through all the way till today. It's ridiculous.
I wonder when that's going to change because they're going to probably end up changing it sometime.
I mean, it would require the banks to be okay with changing the rules on how they can control new construction.
It's difficult because the banks kind of
they don't want to make less money, right? Like if the cost to build homes goes down, that doesn't mean they're making more money, right? And they're okay with it coming down a little bit, but if you look at over time, if you look over the last 50 to 100 years of building, real estate only goes up. I mean, there's a few times where it's gone down, but it goes back up and it exceeds that. Yeah. In Washington County, we're up 65% in the last 5 years,
which is absurd. That's wild.
Absurd.
It's wild.
And so
we're maintaining it somehow. I don't know how we're maintaining it. Well, who knows what's going to happen in the next 5 years, but
yeah, I mean,
we're doing it.
There were some benefits to the lending laws tightening up to, the qualified buyers, right? There was a lot of, the quality of the lender, the person buying the home, but it's not even as stringent as it was back in the 60s and 70s. Back in the 60s and 70s, you had to have 20 to 30% down to buy the house. Now the house value was so much less, but also the income was less and all these other things. But, I mean, you can get into a house from $0 down now, right? And that's only been true since the 90s.
Yeah, which is scary to think about. I mean, me as a person, if I'm going to buy a house, I'm dedicating 30 years, because most people aren't thinking about the value. They're thinking about I want a home. You
want a home. And you want a stable mortgage, right? You want to know that a landlord's not going to raise the cost of your living expense, which is 30 to 40% of your income. You don't want that to get disrupted on an annual basis, or if you it's that stability piece I think most people are wanting.
Totally, yeah, stability in an unstable world. Yeah, and the banks are making money off of it.
They're making 100%. So much money off of it. Yeah, so, and they can give you $0 down loans on it because then they carry the note on it and then they roll it into a fund and then they sell it on the stock market, right?
Totally.
Subprime loans like that. Subprime loans isn't gone. Like we think that in 2008 it's like, oh, subprime lending doesn't happen anymore. It's like, no, it happens. Right. It happens. If you go $0 down on a house, you buy a house, this is a subprime loan. Like there's no equity in that house.
Yeah, that's wild to think about. Because the old practices don't really die that hard now, do they?
No, they just change the names.
Right.
It's pretty crazy.
And maybe do it a little bit less to get away with it now. But
yeah. So this guy up in Central, I was talking to him. We listed a house across the street from him, and it was like the day that they brought the manufactured home on because it was built offsite, and then he put it on the site, which they were zoned to do it up in Central. Yeah. But I was looking, and he has all these anchors to the concrete. He had to pour a regular concrete slab, and then he had to have concrete extend across the entire bottom of the manufactured house, but it's designed to where it only needs footing on the outside of the home. So you would like the subfloor.
You only need concrete around the home then.
Yeah,
like
you only need
you
only need the footings, and then the frame is set up because it's a manufactured house. It's set up to where it can sustain its own level.
Yeah,
and so he could do a footing that was like if he wanted to, or if the lender, it was actually the zone and the building code required that he pour a complete concrete pad underneath of this manufactured house when he's only tied into 12 different spots, because that's all he needs because of the framework of the house.
Yeah.
But he had to end up, it was like, he told me it was like 25 grand.
Yeah.
Just to put all this concrete that he's not using.
Yeah, which ultimately you pay, if it's all financed, you're going to pay 60, 70,000.
Yeah, and he paid cash for the whole thing, but because of the code and the zone and the city requirement to oh no, you need concrete underneath the whole house. But why?
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So it's these little costs, these little tiny costs, they all add up.
Totally. Yeah. And when you're done with the house, that's a few $100,000 most likely,
Yep, exactly.
So, that blows my mind. It makes me angry a little bit.
Yeah, it was upsetting me because I'm like, I mean, it's in a rural area, it's him just trying to make do with what he's got, right? He's an older guy. He's clearly a fixed income. He had cash, and wanted to move out here and not have to have a loan, right? And so, but the cost, he was telling me a couple other things like requirements that he was having to do that were unnecessary, but it was like 25 to 30 grand worth of stuff that he was required to do just because of the code and the zoning that made him do that. It had nothing to do with anything else. Not because it makes sense, but it's because, that's how it's written down on this piece of paper that was designed, 40 years ago. It's just crazy, dude.
It's messed up.
It is messed up. That's where I'm like, I hope AI and technology can help us with some of these crazy things, but I don't know if they're going to help with that. That's the human error.
There is power to knowledge, right? Yep. So if you get enough people that understand it well enough, and that's what AI I think can help out with. Everybody's learning so fast these days, and you have to pick and choose what's true. Mm-hmm. That's the first thing, is you can figure out what's actual, what's real. Mm-hmm.
Which is getting harder, I feel like.
Yeah, it is. But with things like law, understanding the law, and with the regulations and policies that these lending laws and stuff, it's going to start becoming commonplace to understand and learn those things.
And challenge
people. Yeah, and challenge. And that's what that turns into, is once people figure out how dumb it all is, then there's enough people to kind of overthrow this current state of things, and they're forced to change it.
Yeah.
But it takes a lot.
It's
sad. It's sad that it takes a lot.
Yeah, it is frustrating.
Yeah.
But yeah, real estate's an interesting topic. There's so many different angles to it. And I think technology is going to help in a lot of ways. But yeah, I'm interested to see how the next 10 to 15 years goes. It's going to be a crazy world.
Yeah, everything. Medicine, construction, education, these major aspects of our lives, it's going to be pretty beautiful.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll see some good, maybe we'll see custom homes become a regular thing again, rather than track homes, because it's kind of a shame to see something that's going to last 100 years just look so ugly.
Yeah.
Or look so copy and paste,
Yeah.
It'd be pretty sweet to see beautiful architecture once again.
Yeah. And it's a tough thing to do because it's so cost intensive, right? It's coming up with a design and getting it through an architect and an engineer and all these things. But I think technology is going to help us streamline those things.
Totally.
I think architecture, I'm pretty convinced that architecture, if you're an architect, AI, if you're not learning AI and how to leverage AI, that's a job where I'm like, dude, a computer is probably going to be able to do all of that.
Yeah.
And it's going to sync up with the code, right? The city code, and be like, this is what you can do and this is what you can't do. You're not having to cross-reference, and then city inspectors are like, oh no, you can't do that. And there's going to be, far less margin of error, I think, when it comes to architecture.
It'll be those 10% of architects that go that route that end up doing all the work.
Yeah.
And, making all the money.
Yeah.
And so
this could be a big disruption too, for sure.
Yeah. So if anybody listening is in an industry where you can use AI, like ChatGPT, for example, just start there. If you can use that to make yourself more efficient in what you do, or do more in what you do, then you will be way less likely to be the person that gets dropped off. Yeah. Because no matter what, there's always going to be a need for people to like make sure that things are working the way it is, that it needs to. Because an AI is not going to give itself commands to run your business. It's going to, you know,
still need a prompt. Yeah.
Still needs somebody to tell it what to do, and oftentimes how to do it or give it some guidance.
Yeah.
I don't think that's ever going to go away. So
yeah, definitely got to learn that.
Yeah.
Okay, man. Well, thanks for coming on the show, man. I wish you the best of luck.
It's been a pleasure.
STGZ on the App Store.
Yep.
Download it. Start getting with it. If you're a business, local business, download it, create a profile, get verified, start putting deals on it.
Absolutely. It takes like 5 minutes to create an account and post your first offer.
I had to update my phone. It's like, oh, you have to have the latest updated phone. I'm like, if I update my phone, my battery is going to suck.
Oh, yeah.
But oh, well. I just need to do phone.
You got to update your phone.
You got to update your phone. Download the app. STGZ on the App Store. Apple, Google.
Apple.
Just Apple?
Apple, yeah. We're still working on the Android version.
Okay.
But yeah.
I know that there's a lot of hoops for both stores, right?
Yeah. It's quite the process to get your stuff approved. But yeah. Most people hopefully have iPhones. So
I'm part of the gang, the Apple gang.
There you go.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I was ridiculed into that. So if you're listening, thanks a lot for ridiculing me into that. My Pixel worked great. I loved my Pixel.
Yeah,
but now I got an Apple. Okay, guys, thanks for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed the episode. More businesses coming to you, small businesses in Southern Utah. We want to feature them as much as we can. Thanks for listening. We'll see you out there, guys. Thanks for listening in. If you enjoyed this episode, please like and subscribe. Make sure you're following us on all the social media websites. We love your support. We love the dialogue. We want to continue that going.
Find us at realestate435.com. We'd love to help you find a house here in town or help you get wherever you're going.